welcome to the session. Welcome to the Cybersecurity Foundation course. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, based on your time zones. And now we are going to go ahead and we are going to start, just right now. So let's just go ahead and see a few more things on the your offensive security basics over there, right? So we will be going ahead and we will be talking about the day 24's agenda. So day 24, it's here. So web applications, OWASP top 10, exploiting vulnerability of web application, countermeasures of vulnerability, and secure coding practices are few things that we have to discuss, which is mostly going to be dominated by the OWASP top 10 for the day. Okay, this is going to be the whole path, whole scenario that we are going to have over here. So till now we have covered a whole lot series. So towards the end today, I would love to give you a kind of a recap of whole the offensive security domain itself. And we have the, a good amount of a ground to cover for the day. So we will be just going ahead and starting the day without any, delay or anything. So we will be starting with the web application security in short, if we have to talk about today. So yesterday, we were talking about the wireless. Okay. So that link of the wireless that I have given to you, wireless security. So I hope you guys have seen that one, right? Now we'll be moving out towards the very last topic in the offensive part here. That is going to be the web application security. Now, okay. So web application is your software that is running on a web browser, unlike the software program that run locally on and natively on the operating system of the devices. So web applications are delivered on the World Wide Web user or on the an active network connection, right? And when we talk about the web application, they can be designed for a variety of users and can be used by anyone from an organization to an individual for numerous reasons. Commonly used web application could be including things like webmail, online calculator, e-commerce website. So all these things that you are using nowadays, you are just using a web application. So how many of you have tried to, just play around with the Amazon and try to get the access of it, or, try through any e-commerce website, try ordering things for free. Now, one thing that we need to understand on a top overview kind of a point of view is how any web applications they work. So there is a user, then there is a login form. Okay, so you go like Facebook, Instagram, anywhere, first thing that they will be asking whether you are the user or not. This is your link or login or sign up. So you go ahead and you go and access the particular website. Then your request is sent through the internet. Then on that particular wherever they are hosting that service to the their firewall, then to the web server, then from the web server to that particular web application server, there will be the database where the all the data that you want to fetch, like you send username and password. So that will be fetched, the data that you want, that will be fetched. Okay, with some operating system calls will be made, and then it will be presented you with the some scripts, some data, so that the response when it goes back, it is a kind of a good looking web page giving you the handsome amount of data, UI features and everything, right? So all this is kind of just the overview, just an overview, a general overview that is regarding the web application that comes to it. Now we know that web application in past few years, they are being targeted by the many attacker. We keep hearing the lot of incident that website is down, this data has been leaked and all those kind of things, or they're all you know all these kind of the places and all, right? So this is the very first thing. Now first thing, apart from this is, when I'm talking about all these scenario, all these systems, hold these particular kind of a things, right? So I just want to say that there is the few people or few things that when we talk about that, they want to attack. So obviously there will be the response from the other side, defensive side as well. Now, from the defensive side, when we are talking about from the defensive side, in the defensive side, there is an organization known as the your. So we will be talking about the OWASP. That what is the OWASP? OWASP is your Open Web Application Security Project, which is a non-profit organization which is totally dedicated for improving the software security by providing free and open resources for web application security itself. So OWASP, it was founded in 2001, and since then it has become a leading resource for developer, security professional, organization for seeking to improve the security of their web application. So OWASP, they provide a range of the resources, including some documentations, tools, training material to help the developer and security professional to understand what are the common web application security risks. So their flagship project, you might have heard, OWASP Top 10, which they publish in every 3-year time period, right? Which is the list of top 10 most critical web application security risks presented in the last 3 years and going strong, right? So every time they present these kind of things. So there was a list in 2010, then 13, then there was the one in this 17, then 2021. So, usually they will be publishing in the gap of 3 years, they will be publishing some of the reports. Now, these reports give you the top 10 threats for the web application, which is going on right now, and you will be dealing with them and just playing around with them, that how at least then in your web application you need to patch or work about those things. Means take under, there are not only 10 top 10 vulnerabilities, there are more than that, but those 10 you should try to patch for your application at most, right? So that kind of a standard, that if you want to put focus in, like these 10 area you should be focusing. If I'll be searching the official website over here, OWASP, so here, when we go into this, this is the official website of the OWASP. Okay, and this is going to be the official kind of their top 10 security risk that they have published over here. Now, when we talk about this one over here is, okay, this one here is, this is the 2017, right? So this last list, that is going to be here on the 2017 itself, and this is the 2021 itself, right? So this is going to be the, bit older list, and prior to that there was the 2013. So if you are coming from a, a bit more amount of experience, you will be understanding things, that how this will be working and all. Like this is the broken access control. So prior to this broken access control, there used to be the insecure direct object reference, IDOR, okay, and IDOR, insecure direct object reference, and there was the missing functional level access, okay, missing function level access, that one. So both of them were combined and they were made into the something like the broken access control. Now this broken access control, it start topping your chart now. Okay, so if you will be seeing over here, it start kind of topping the chart, means it is the number one over here now. So when we are talking about this thing, okay, so this is here. So in 2017, if you will see, the decade was wholly dedicated to injection, okay, a vulnerability. Now injection, you go with the here, and like a whole decade was dominated by this. There are different ways of doing the injection. Now the injection is moved somewhere in the your A3, right? So these always go like the top 10 threats, A1, A2, A3, A4, like this. So there is A1, then A2 broken authentication, it moved to the 7 with the different name, identification and authentication failure, right? Then there is going to be the sensitive data exposure. Now sensitive data exposure, it moved up to the A2, and the name of this has become the cryptographic failures over there. Then this broken access control, and it moved to the number one now. Okay, so from the 2013 being the two different vulnerability, then combined later on as the broken access control, IDOR, missing functional, security level, those things, they have been combined to be broken access control, and that now become as the number one over here. Okay, then there is going to be the new introduction in secure design, which has to deal with the your secure designing part, right? So we have the SSDLC, secure software development lifecycle kind of a thing, which you have to taken care over here. Then there is security configuration, which also move up from A6 to A5. Okay, now XSS and your insecure deserialization, they have been induced in the two different ways. If you will see, XSS has been more into the injection part itself, and insecure deserialization is now with the your software and data integrity fails. Okay, now this, using component with known vulnerability. Earlier in 2013, it was like number 10. Then it moves up to 9, and now it moves to the 6, right? So more and more people, they are becoming online, developing the tools, web application, and it is increasing the threat over there, right? Then there is the, logging and monitoring, which was A10. It moved one place up to the security logging and monitoring failure. And A10 is going to be your server side request forgery, SSRF. Okay, this is a new addition here. Now this is the introduced due to the, lot of the cloud-based apps being used right now. So these are the just a general view. So, you can always go ahead, check the, like here, OWASP top 10 2017. You can have, just check that one out as well and see that what was the problem or how that was, actually defined earlier. So whole list will be there. Okay, so yeah, it is just giving me the PDF to download. So I will be downloading it. So here we will be on this part. Okay. So if we talk about the top 10, this is the top 10. You can, download the guide over here itself. And let me just make it full screen. Okay, here, top 10, right? So the whole activity, what was there, and this was the 13 and, combination which I was talking about. So if you will be seeing the comparison which I was talking about earlier, this is that comparison. So there was IDOR. It was merged with the missing function level access control, and then it become your broken access control, which is now topping the chart. Okay, so you will see that over the past few years, how the development which has been removed, which has been added, right? So all this thing will be the part that what has been added, what and how they have been changed, and everything is going to be in there. So from the official website itself, you can get yourself a very good idea that what is going on and how things is going on over there. So you don't have to do anything, guys. People are asking the PDF. Go to their official website and just click on this in the right hand side, download our social link, OWASP Top 10 2017 as well. So you can have these kind of a scenario as well for yourself. So all from the official website I'm showing you. So here, if you will see, these are going to be the top 10s. So what they are, what are the some examples that I can think of, I will be discussing them. And then later, few simple hands-on I will be showing you as well. Now, we will be starting with the very first one. This time it is the broken access control. So like I was telling you that it has its own journey, right? So it has that, whole way from moving from the combination of A4, A7, then become the A4 and then top it like this one. And it has pushed the particular your uh, injection after a decade to the third position, right? So which is a big achievement itself. That means this kind of thing start happening a more. So, this is here. So from fifth, it is the most severe risk in the 2021. Okay, so this is what we are going to talk about. So what could be some example of that? So some example of that is, when we are seeing broken access control. So what could be an access in a web application? So let's say you were allowed to access some of the servers like via the FTP, via the SSH or SFTP, any protocol. Okay, you are able to access administrative panel of any of the access or any of the web application, right? You can access any other application on your server, or you can access a database, or you can access a hosting control administrative panel, like very one of the simplest thing that I will say, that if this was my organization, or my, let's say that I was looking for my college result, and there was going on something like this id equals to you know 1345, and it was showing my result, and I change it to 148, and it starts showing someone else's result, right? So what I'm doing, I am getting access to someone else's result panel itself. So this is the broken access control, means your access control that should be in place is not working properly. I'm changing it to the 149, it starts showing me someone else's result, right? So a simple thing like this could be known as the access, right? And this is what happening. a broken access is there. Okay, now attacker, they can exploit the authorization flow, and authorization flaw to accomplish these kind of a scenario. So they can access the any unauthorized functionality or the data as well. Okay, they can view sensitive file, they can change access right, they can edit file and record kind of a things as well. Like one example in or demo that I show in the usually in the CEH or pen test is there, I show something in the missing functional level access control is, like in or in the broken access as well, that you are having something like ID equals to your payment page, payment gateway you are having. So suddenly from this payment I change it to the order, and it will order my items without even asking me for the my credit card or anything. So if this kind of thing means you are changing viewing sensitive data and doing this different kind of a things right, right there. So this is going to be the few parts that is going to work like this. Now when we are talking about this thing, right, the top 10 or order, so this is the few examples that is there. Now some risk that could be there, which we can say is like they're if they are allowed. So they are, first of all, they're ordering things for free. They can change the value of store anything else in your uh or change or edit value. Like you have your office employees record, they can go ahead delete them. Any of these kind of thing can happen with the broken access control over there. Now, what are the if here if I'll be going on to the slides back. So my slides are going to have what is OWASP 10, then top 21 introduction, that what are these things, and then they are going to have countermeasure. Like for the their diet is starting with this SQL injection. So here, like the broken access control, right? So what you can do over there, these kind of things. Like one of the very common thing to have here is the option of least privilege. Okay, so applying the role which is very appropriate to the task and only for the amount of the time necessary to complete the set task. Like if someone has to go and they need to access the data, one user want to go ahead and access the SQL database, so that should be given the access of that. And if its task is only to read, so only give the read permission, and with the read permission just give that user the permission for, let's say, 1 hour or 2 hour. Okay, so this is going to be over there, right? Now these things could be the whole scenario that is going to be the part of the your uh, you know uh, scenarios over there, that what is going to be in there, and all these kind of why these scenarios are there and how these things are going to be there. Now, parameterized query and the input validation we'll be talking in the SQL injection part itself, not right now. Okay, so you can get rid of all those accounts as well, which is not being used, right? Or which is no longer being required. You can audit your server's website, okay, who is doing what, when, why, that kind of a thing. Even you can apply multi-factor authentication to all your access point as well. Okay, and disable the access point until they are needed in order to reduce your access window itself, right? These kind of things you can simply apply over here, that can help you with the something like this. And here you can see, like most of things are related to the your SQL as well, like escaping as well. So the database escaping function, what it you generally do, the commands or input which you don't want from the user, it will be sanitizing them, means removing any unnecessary codes, dot, hyphen, those kind of thing it will be removing from the place. So these kind of things are going to be in there, which is going to be go like this over there, right? So most of the time when you will be seeing the broken access control or any of the web application, these are called bugs due to the software coding, that you have left something unchecked. Then these kind of a things, they do happen. The web application is quite famous for doing something like this itself. Okay, so what we have, this was the broken access control. Okay, then when we talk about the second one is cryptographic failure. So earlier it was known as the your if we'll talk about sensitive data exposure itself. Okay, So when we talk about sensitive data exposure or cryptographic failure, so it was renamed simply, right? Just to show you why they have renamed it, show you that what was the cause behind it. So sensitive data is being exposed, but why? Because of the cryptographic failure. Okay, and it move a number, yeah, it move a number. So from 3 to it become now 2. So it consists of a failure to protect your sensitive data that should not be publicly accessible. So for example, if we talk about the cryptographic failures, there is going to be the things like, you know, credential. If we talk about some example of cryptographic, failure, so what kind of the sensitive data required your cryptography, like your credentials, your credit card detail, okay, social, your social security number, like in India we have the Aadhaar card numbers and all these kind of things, your PIIs, your medical information, those kind of a thing. Okay, so when we talk about any organization, it is very important that they understand what is the importance of protecting users information and privacy itself, right? So like you might have heard about this, some of these standards that is going around the world, like GDPR. Okay, so what is happening in GDPR? If you will not be, protecting these kind of a thing, you will be fined a very good amount of the fine is very big over there. So you don't want to pay that, right? So to follow these kind of a thing, a company should be aware that where these kind of the data failure is happening. So if you remember about two places where you have to focus on, first is the stored data and the transmitted data. Two places means data at rest and data in transmit or yeah, data in the transmission. Okay, so there's those kind of the things when your data is traveling between from the internal server to the web application, you need to be aware about those situations where you will be working and where you have to protect. Like in there, we have to go ahead and we have to deal with the your when we talk about protecting the data. Okay, so first is, if you want to protect data, you might have heard a term SSL. So what you do, SSL certificate you start using. Okay, a website, what they start having a SSL certificate first of all, right? Now this will be, it is kind of a standard security technology which will be, establishing an encrypted link between a web server and a browser. Now this SSL certificate will help you to protect the integrity of the data when it is traveling from one point to another point, right, between the host, web server, firewall and the client. Okay, so means simply you need to install the all those kind of the your SSL certificate over in your website and itself, okay, on your web servers itself. Now there are always going to be the some risk of cryptographic failure. Okay, now things like your application, it encrypt the credit card number, okay, in the database using the automatic database encryption. Okay, like if you have used the .NET or any other program, they have the function to encrypt your data when you're passing it through them, right? Now, you know, but one more thing, whenever you are retrieving that data that is being decrypted at that time, let's say that I want to get that data. Now, if there might be a SQL injection flaw in your system, you can retrieve the credit card number in clear text itself, or a site which doesn't use, which is not using the TLS SSL, right, for and they are using, or even in SSL suite they are using some weak algorithm for encryption, right? So what you can do from this, you can just simply go ahead and you can downgrade the first thing is that you are using that weak encryption, someone can crack it. Second, sometime attacker, they will send you a request that you are using this version of TLS, I do not support it, why don't we use some older version, or why don't we use the STTP? They will force you to do something which will be degrading, SSL downgrade. They will try to downgrade your SSL connection. They will force you that use the HTTPS, remove the security from here. So if you are allowing them and you are connecting with them, either you will make, like, lot of time you have seen the option that only use TLS communication for this kind of the your connection, right? So that kind of thing you need to force over there. So this is something that you have to be aware about, that these cases can take happen. And if you talk about these cryptographic failure, right? So you might have seen some of the reports all around the globe, like in June of 2021, LinkedIn, they reported that information of the 90% of its user base was compromised and posted on the dark web, right? Fortunately, no personal sensitive data, was compromised. The but the leak detail was having things like email address, phone number, geolocation data, those kind of a things as well. Okay, so these kind of things we keep hearing over there. Now, non-encryptive sensitive data is the main reason that these attacks are so, popular in use. So, however, even if data is encrypted, it is still can be broken due to the weak, weak of the things that you are using over there, like your key generation or your algorithm that you are using, your cipher use protocol, they are weak. The whole thing will be, kind of cracking down easily as well. Okay, so there are again going to be the some of the ways of protecting the, your countermeasure, we can say, to protect your broken access control itself. So countermeasure of broken access control and cryptographic failure. So first of all, choose the strong and cryptographic algorithm, which will be hard to crack. Okay. Then your key management should be proper, that where you need to store key using the HSM for it, how you are going to generate the key, rotate the key, when to revoke the key, replace the key. So everything you have to think about over there. Then implementation should be secure as well. The protocol that you will be using, SSL, TLS, you will be making sure that only the stronger version or suite, TLS suite we are going to use, or Cipher suite, what we call. And properly keep checking for the software design, secure coding practices, vulnerability testing, all these kind of things we will be keep looking for over there. Now, there is going to be the third, right? The third one, which is going to be the quite interesting as well. A3, which was topping the chart for a decade, and that is the injection. So I'm pretty much sure. So how I define injection is, during this whole COVID time, vaccination was going on, right? To improve our immunity. So in India, we just simply call it, where you are going in general people common term, we say that, where you are going to take an injection, right? So, if we are just kind of scaring our kids as well, so we'll say, if you will not do this thing, doctor will come and, he will put an injection, right? So this is some common things that we use. So what is happening? There is a normal blood flow that is going on, and then externally you inject something, and that is going and being processed by your body, and it is improving your health, right? That kind of thing we are taking through the in positive in the medical science. Here injection is when I was accessing this, even this website. Okay, this is also a web application, or I go for amazon.com. Okay, so if I will be going for Amazon, so that is also a web application over here. So I'm accessing all these kind of a thing. So there was a, when I requested for this, my Amazon server, it give me a string of the some queries and the your codes and everything, which is executed in this browser. Now what I did was, through this browser I am accessing it, right? So through this browser I am just going ahead and I am accessing this whole thing at once. Now what if in this normal flow attacker, they will try to input their own code in between. So there was a normal flow of code, and they put a code in between, and what happened? Let's say that that is, for example, executed, you know by my web server, and on this front page now it starts showing some crazy things over there, right, which was not intended to show in here. So what you will be having now, you will be having the idea that what is going to be, this will be the kind of injection. You put something, it is executed in the backend, and you got your output over here. So this is going to be the part. Now injection could be of different type. Injection, it could be like, you're very simply the command injection. You put a command, okay, and you start working with it. Like I have run this OS broken web apps. So it is a very, actually very big of your vulnerable machine in GB, and mostly it is used with the, for web application testing. So when you will be deep diving into the web application, there you'll be using this. whole machine. So injection could be of n number of types. Like I was explaining, it could be a command injection. So let's say that you just want to put some command, and let's say what you think was that if there, for example, what was happening, if there was a web application which was saying, I will be showing you the same example, that give me the IP address and I will ping it for you, right? So what happened is, your attacker think, okay, when I am inputting an query, it will be going to where? To a web server, okay, to a web server. Now, when it is going to a web server, there might be a terminal which is executing my command of ping, and the output is being presented over here, right, in the screen. So what if with the IP address I try to input my own codes as well? Will they be executed or not? He become curious. So what you have to do, you will be doing the same thing. I will be running the terminal over here. Okay, so same thing, arp hyphen scan, and then your this range I will be doing. Okay, 139. So it is a browser based thing. So what I will do, I will go ahead. I quickly scan this, right? Because we have discussed about the scanning last week, enumeration, everything we discussed last week. So now when we are talking about these things, okay, this is going to be in here. Now web application, I'm just waiting for this to get executed. Okay, so let me open this in the private window. Here. So this is an open OWASP broken web apps. So this is consists of n number of applications. So you might have heard Matilda, Juicebox, you know, your DVWA, everything you will be finding over here. Training application, lot of the different application, different, rather than installing them individually. This one thing you can install, and it is the collection of all these things. Like if someone will be interested in the BWAP, if someone is want to get and go ahead and access the BWAP, BWAP is also here. You want to go and do this for SQL injection, bricks challenges are very good. So if you want to go ahead and use the bricks, there are bricks challenges. There is Matilda 2, you want to use them, Matilda 2. So this is the another web application which you will be having. We will be using something like DVWA over here. So it is asking for a username and password. Let me provide them. Okay, I am here. So if I will show you something like this part, right? So what is happening? It is asking me for doing a ping, right? So I will give it the IP address like this. Okay, and let me copy this. Okay, so that I don't have to do it again and again. So I submit this. I got output like this. Now your attacker think that might be it is, pushed or published in some, terminal, and then it is giving me output like this. So you think, okay, why don't I try to, get my way around of this? So what they do something like this over here. Okay, now they will go ahead and put a colon and do, a simple command like who am I. So you can see your output is ending somewhere here. Okay, so I go in there and I submit this whole thing. Now, after that, I got one more thing, who am I's answer, www data, right? So apart from that, if I will show, present working directory where I am right now, I submit this. What happened is you got something like you are in this directory right now, OS, DVWA, vulnerability, execution, you are in this directory right now. Great. And again, I will check something like here after who am I? Uh, you name hyphen A and submit it. So again, it is giving the machine names as well. So what is happening? Now my attacker, it injected something in between, and what is happening? It is being executed by my backend. Okay. So what happened is, first thing, they are trusting the user completely that never it is going to go ahead and send anything suspicious or malicious over there, right? So that is going to be the first thing. Second, that is going to be the, one is the command execution. Same, if I would be using XML over here, it will become XML injection. If I'm using LDAP, lightweight directory protocol, and I'm using that to inject, it will become LDAP injection. If I am using SQL, it will become a SQL, if the backend, there is a SQL database going on, and I go ahead and I do something like, inject a code into the SQL, and SQL database, it give me some output back, right? It is going to be called your, then in that case, it is going to be called your SQL injection itself, right? So there could be the different type of the your injection that can be used. Okay, so what we'll be doing, we'll be using the one more website, uh, which is going to be the this one, test PHP one web. Okay, so here this is just for the practice purpose. Okay, from the Acunetics. Now in this one, I will show you a very one of the simplest example of your manual SQL injection that can be done. Okay, now you will be going onto this place and you will be having all these parts as well and everything that is just going around over here. So what we are having, okay, so you can see there are different things. So here it is giving you the option like type your name. Okay, what is going to be your name, type it, and all these kind of a thing. So here you are just adding a comment over there. So different categories are there which you are just gonna go ahead and work around with this one as well. So here, what I'm looking for, a query like this. Okay, a place like this is something that I'm looking for. Like here or this artist, you can click, check this artist that what it is. Now you are on the page of the artist one, right? So different things. So I will be showing you one of the very basic manual way of doing it. So for this thing, what I will do, I will show you first, I will give you a bit of a glimpse on the slide itself that what it is going to be all about. So there is going to be the your exploiting the vulnerability. One section was talking about exploiting the vulnerability of web application. So here we will see this one. So first of all, there is going to be this particular kind of a link that I am looking for, where there should be something like, a, a variable equals to a number. So all those people who are just starting with this, we are looking for this thing. Now we will be, test the SQL injection for this whole scenario over here. Now in this one, what we try to do, we will try to go ahead and we will try to induce some error onto this line. So in the end, where you are seeing artist equals to 1, we will input something like a single quote in there, which will be going ahead and simply producing an error onto the page. Okay, and trust me, while you are starting, this is a very basic thing, I know, but errors are the best friend of your attackers. So you will go in here and you will see to do something like producing a single quote in here, right? So I produce a single quote and what happened? It give me the error. Now it is telling me the MySQL fetch away expected parameter 1 to be a resource. Okay, boolean in HJ on this and on line 62. So if you will read this warning, did this thing give you some help that what is in the back end? You got any idea now? What is in the back end, right? Things like PHP file is there, artist is the PHP file, and basic thing that you are running on the MySQL over here, right? So till now, I was not sure that what they are running on the backend. It's sorry, backend itself. So what I did, this was a normal query, and to break this query, I put a single quote in the end itself. That what is going to be in there. Now the example I'm giving you. So if I'm not going to explain very much into the deep how it is happening in the backend and everything, right? Why? Because if I will start explaining this, it is going to consume more than 2 hours. Okay, over here, but just giving you the idea that you are breaking this code and you produce some error which give you the idea what is going to happen. So usually depending on the error type, you will try to either balance it or you will either try to simply first try it out that if it is easy or means someone poorly coded this thing. So as an attacker, now I know that it is running on the MySQL, means a relational database. Relational database will be having what? Columns and row. Now my target will be finding how many columns are there and then find how many columns are vulnerable over there. So first thing is this, we got the error message which is telling us that yes, there is going to be the SQL database. Now I come to know that there is the SQL database, and I will be running some commands which will be like, you can now use order by or group by command to find how many number of columns are there. So if you will do something like order by 20 and enter. So I'm thinking that is there 20 columns or not? So when you run this thing, again, my error is still there. Okay. So nothing has been changed. Order, I am just writing a command order by 90 and nothing in there. I'm not getting. So when your command will be like, no error, with the no error, there is going to be the original page back. So this will be more of a hit and trial method. 10 and enter. Okay. Again, error means no 10 column. Order by, oh, why it is my spelling mistake. My God. Okay. Okay. My bad. Order by, okay. Your 10. Let's run this. Again, error. Order by 5. Enter. Again, 5 is having error. 3. Or let's just start with 2. Okay, and I'm getting the original page back. Originally, if you remember, it was showing me something like this. Artist R48W, right? This was the original page before I start inducing the error. So 2, but it doesn't giving you the guarantee that there is only 2 column. So 5 was not giving me the 5 was giving me error, 2 is giving me okay. So there could be 2, 3, 4, any number of column, right? So we will go with the 3 and again enter. Okay, order by 3, and 3 is also giving me original page, means this is means 3 columns are there at least, and then 4 and enter, and 4 is again giving me the error, right? MySQL fetch array. So this is something that is happening. Okay, so means there are number of columns are 3 over here that we have over there. Now what we have, we know now the number of columns over there, and we can, we can introduce with after knowing 3 columns, we can unite them together so that we can extract the data, right? So what it means, I will be using this is called a union based your SQL injection. So what happened in here is, now I know that how many particular columns are in there. So what I will do, if you remember something like in mathematics as well, when we used to learn about the matrix, okay, or in the relational databases as well. So if you remember, if you have to work with the relational database, right? And now you want to add a particular your add you want to add some particular columns to it or a row in it. So that row should be having something like equal number of columns. Okay, so I will be using a command like union, but right now I'm not aware about the exact column name. So what attacker, they use these command in a bit different way. So with union, they will be using the command union and then select with it, and exactly the number of columns you have, you will enter those value. Means if there is 3 columns, so you have to enter 3 values. So I will enter some 3 unique value to identify each column so that I can know which particular column is vulnerable. So out of these value, first column I am entering 11, second column I am entering 22 and 33. So in my this page, web page, whichever number is reflected back, so I will know that column is vulnerable, right? So with the union select command, I will be using or doing this kind of a things over there. Okay. Now, one more thing, I'm just telling you right here itself that this artist equals to 1. It is actually pointing out to a specific, it is a pointer which is pointing us to this particular page itself. Now I need to change this pointer's location. So you will be using something, you will not use something like 2 3 because it might be using some other page then. Okay, now why we want to do, we want to change this pointer location by adding something like a minus and kind of make it invalid. Okay, in that case, so that the latest added line from there, anything if there will be vulnerable, that is going to be presented in the page. So you will add something like this in front of this artist equals to 1. So what is this whole thing? I will explain you like this. Okay, here what you did, it was like 1 order by 4. Okay, 4 was error, 3 was giving me the original page back. So whenever I am getting my original page back means my query is working perfectly fine. So in here you give what? So I know 3 columns. First of all, you will run something like union select 1 1 2 2 3 3 4 4. Okay, so there are these kind of a scenario, or oh, 3 columns are there, so only up to 3 I have to enter. 1 1 2 2 and 3 3, and enter this thing. Okay, now what will happen? I'm knowingly doing this thing. Why? When I will be doing this thing, you will be finding out I'm getting original page itself. Means no value is reflected back from the 1 1 2 2 or 3 3. Why? What happened is this is exactly doing what? But remember, I was saying this artist equals to 1. It is pointing out towards what? A very specific your what? It is going to point out towards the very specific of your page. Now I need to change this pointer to reflect it somewhere, so I will make it like -1 now and enter. Now when you enter this thing, you got something like artist 22 and 33 here, means column number 2 and 3 are vulnerable. Okay, this is what we come to know from this thing. So the value in first column I enter 1 1, second column we go with the 2 2, and on the third one we go with the your 3 3 over there. So these things are going to be the part, and 2 2 3 3 are being reflected on the page, means column 2 2 and 3 3 are vulnerable. So remember, we are the people who is learning these offensive security. Okay, you are going to be a white hat hacker, you are going to be your red teamer. So you are never going to go and do something like delete a database, truncate, update. No, never use such kind of the your aggressive commands. We'll be using simple commands. So you can use something like, I want to know the database, which is the database that you are running, database name. Now I also want to know which version of the SQL you are running, so that one as well. So using this thing, or you go with the user to know the username, right? So all this you will be running. You will run this thing. Okay, you can see, first thing 22. There I enter the version. Version is 8.0.22012. This is what we are using, and your database name is accurate. Okay, this is going to be the two things that is going to be in there, right? So this is something that you can do manually and you have find it out by yourself. But you know, this is not, doing this thing, it's good, but it is time taking and it is just a demo. That's why I find the 3 columns. What if there was a n number of columns? Then it become more tedious task for you to find out. Okay. So this is but one of the very simplest way of doing the your web application testing manual union based one. So apart from this, you can also use some automated tools. So what we have in, when we talk about the automated tools here, with the automated tools, there is, one of your SQL injection or SQL map as well. Okay, for the SQL injection. So I can use that one as well. So let me just minimize this one, close this one. come to this part and let me just clear whole thing out. Okay, so I haven't updated it from a very long time. Hopefully it will not give me any challenge moving ahead. So here, what I will do, okay, there is going to be the your, okay, this whole thing over there. And this is my, obviously the alert. Okay, so here, artist one, I copy this link, minimize this thing. Now, what we will use a tool which will be doing all this thing automatically, right? So SQL map. Okay, we'll be using tool with the name SQL map, and with high and hyphen small u, you will provide that URL link that check out that this link is having any vulnerability or not. You will run this thing. So it will be starting the scanning, testing, connection. Yep, checking if target is protected by some kind of web stable connection. What you are getting, So it look like the DBM is MySQL. Do you want to skip test payload specific for the other DBMSs? So yes, no. So usually I go with the capital letter ones, right? So it is asking that, now you obviously know that it is SQL based. Do you want to access more other database checks also you want to run? No. So yes, no, whatever is there. So you will be just going with the options that is going to be shown to you one by one, right? So it will be just doing the testing and all triggering the all string variable, all these kind of things. Okay, so it will be running the whole query for you and you don't have to do a single thing. Okay, so yeah, it is bit of here. So we'll go in here. Okay, and in here you, oh, no, I just ended this thing. Oh, right. Okay. So what we did, we just go there and we try to run this thing, whole thing over there. So, okay. So I just simply run this thing, but my mistake was what? I just simply give the URL, it run the whole scanning of this, and the results were here that what it find and everything. So parameter payload, but I didn't tell it that what I want to query about. So this is going to have the database, right? So this URL, if there is any databases, so I will be looking for the hyphen DBS. If there is any database running, just do let me know about their database itself. Okay, so it is giving me the warning, and this is what I was worried about. It is saying that my version is bit outdated, but still it give me the option that I have two databases running in the backend, which is you know uh, accurate and information underscore schema. Now these two, they sound very interesting, and with the manual injection I already know that accurate can have some good data. So remember, I just run this manually, and so if remember, this is the query that I ran where the database I come to know was the accurate, right? So it could have some juicy content for me. So why don't I go there and try to find out more detail over there? So why don't I just, press tab, and now I know the database. So with a single hyphen capital D, I will put, and database name is this. Okay, I will copy this thing. Now database consisting of your tables. So with hyphen hyphen, I will inquire about tables that tell me about the tables. So it will go there and it will be updating it. It is saying 8 of the tables it has find over here. Okay, it is just retrieving the table name like artist, card, featured, guest book. Okay, so as you can see, it is just, uh, okay, and again, like I'm telling you of giving you a very fair warning, guys. This is we are learning from the offensive security purpose. Okay, so a security white hat hackers or anyone to doing something like this, if they are not the test website, you need to have permissions from them. Okay, so do not go, and this is only for the knowledge purpose, so do not misuse this information. This is for the knowledge purpose, providing the most security over here. And do not try to go on doing these things on some live website which is not allowing you. Okay, why? Because if let's say that same time you are doing something like these scans or anything, and someone attacker is doing the same thing and something attack happen, you could be indicted in that one as well, right? That you are also doing the same kind of a thing. So you could also become a suspect in that one, and then you might need to go for a kind of a legal battle over there. Okay, so yeah, try to avoid these things on the live kind of a scenario unless you have the very good permission or they are inviting you for the bug bounties, right? So something like that you should be aware. Now, these are the few of your tables. 8 tables has been found in there: artist, card, your catalogs, okay, feature, guest book, pictures, products, user, all these kind of a thing. Now, what we are interested in, users. Okay, out of this, users is there. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna go ahead again, up arrow, deaccurate and hyphen capital T for table. Now I know the table. So let's just check the users. Who are the users? Okay, there is something. And let's see whether we will find something interesting. Now table contain words, your column. So we'll be going with the columns, that what this user table has as the columns. So we will go in there. It will be running my query. Okay. Okay, what I did, what was my query? Okay, let me up. Okay, hyphen columns in there. Skip the text. I think I enter the. I will be saying 5 threads concurrently. Oops. Yeah, 5 is very less. Okay, T users good. Uh, oh, and in users we have hyphen columns. Okay, great. So with the different version as well, there could be some differences that you might be seeing sometimes. Like mine is a bit outdated. Okay, I haven't done it from a long time, and it is taking its time to go there and complete this one. Okay, I think I should have run with the more concurrent ones. More threads would be good. So it is taking a lot of time. So what I'm going to do is close, no, stop this one. And again, with the normally, let's say without even looking for the common ones, it should be actually, usually it gives the something like the column, but your SQL map updated, it might be testing its, its database is not that much developed, else it would have given us some column names, which would have, have something like email and the password as well. So yeah, you have to check for those things. So it is saying unable to check, unable to retrieve. It should be able to retrieve. I don't know why, but put yes, and might be going with the first common list, and this time using the here something like here 50 threads. Hopefully it will allow. Okay, critical thread is maximum 10. Okay, it will be taking it now. There's still a good amount of time to go ahead and complete this whole thing, right? But usually what will happen, the output of this, mine is a bit older one over here, the SQL map. Okay, so I haven't updated it. So if I would have the updated one, the updated dictionary, it would have find something like, your email. Okay, column with the name like the email, and with the your column names like your pass. Okay, so that thing it would have easily find, and then it would have given you the option to crack it as well. And after the crack, you would have some username and password. I think, from the slide from the cloud lab, I might be having that one. Okay, if I will go and show you some manual injections one on the slide itself. So here, manual and the automated. This was the manual one which we were doing, right? Knowing the three, that there are column, uniting them. So this is a whole step that what we were doing. Okay, so this is the one, and again changing the pointer location. Okay, I'm just leaving it run so that you can see, and if you will be seeing it through the recordings of the YouTubes, so you can pause it, read these pointers, and then there is going to be this, manual SQL injection giving you the output. Then in automated one, if I will take you to the place where we have the output over here, yes, like this. So if you will notice the columns, you have find the columns. So we are till this point where we are discussing this whole thing. So there, right now it is not giving me the column, but if you will see AccuCard T user hyphen hyphen columns, it would be giving you the column name like this at once. Okay, so I'm still having the hope and running the some default name. Maybe it will find through that. And then what you will do, once you have the column name, so you will be selecting which column name you want to use, like name, uname, and password. You go with that and run the query hyphen hyphen dump. And it will be in the end will be telling you the name, uname, and password that combined, and they will be try to crack the hashes and give you the name, username, password as well for any account, right? So it will try to find and do the cracking for you as well over here. So this is the bit of the idea behind the automated of your task over here, right? So after dumping the credential, we have the information about database, table, and username, password, right? So whole thing. So if our VMware here, it will pick up something like that over the time. So in the meantime, we will discuss some other of your vulnerabilities as well, right? Moving ahead, we'll be talking about this some other vulnerabilities as well. But this was just to show you that there is the injection. And injection itself is not going to stop over there. So one more thing that has been added to injection, one more thing, practically, let me show you, is the cross-site scripting. Okay, so that is also being added into the injection with the latest SQL. So we have something like the no, not this one. Yeah, testfire.net. Okay, here. So what you will do here, your attacker, it will notice what you are going to use this time. Script, client-side script. So what is client-side script? Your web server, it will be sending you your web application to make the page beautiful, send some script like HTML script, Java scripts. What they do, they are executed by the browser like pop-up box, alert box, right? Those are the script that is coming and executed by your browser itself. Okay. Now, when you are using or doing something like this, that it is being executed by the browser itself. Now, in these particular cases, okay, let me check. It's good. So when we are talking about this, that you are executed by the browser. So what attacker they think, what if in this search box, what they will try to do first, they will try to type anyone's name, right? So like this. Like this. Okay, they will enter anything over there. So whatever they type in that search box, they are seeing it is printed on the page as it is, and it is going in the URL as well as the query. So what they did, they think what if I will try a simple JavaScript over here, like opening tag of script, then closing tag of script, a simple script they will try to run. And in there, they will go in between and they will type something like alert, and in alert, they will be going for something like 1337. Okay, and you guys can search why I am writing 1337, how it is related to XSS, and click on go. And what happened? It gave me a pop-up box saying alert 1337, and you can see your query going on into the query place as well. So similarly, again, if you want to enter something like your script and script closing tag, okay, and in here the alert box, and talk about the your alert box, and here this time no space in between, double quotes, you have been pawned. Okay, so this kind of thing you might run, and you will be having the alert box saying the same thing, right? So this is the cross-site scripting that you are using. So this is few other way. It is also now embedded into the your OWASP top 10 this year. So you can see in the diagram, XSS from here it is moved to the injection itself, right? So we have talked only few things till now. So I will be bit of picking up the pace and explaining few other of your resources or the attacks over here. Now, when we are talking about the, this was the third one, this was the injection, right? Now, for preventing something like this, we can, use something like an allow list, that what is going to be allowed and what is not going to be allowed when it comes to the your injection itself. That what things you are going to allow, and using something like parameterized query, going ahead and sanitizing the your user's input like that. First is this escaping method and least privilege, which we talked earlier as well. So escaping, again, remove the user input. So if user is inputting something like a single quote, right? So whether this should be allowed or not, this should be clear from there or not. That is going to be the part that you have to opt for. Okay. Then there is going to be something like least privilege, which again I was saying that do not give someone the unnecessary permission itself to go ahead and query your database. So there is something like input validation. So input validation is validate the user input on the client side and server side to make sure that it conform to the expected format and data type. So you will define that what kind of the format and what kind of the data types are going to be allowed. So whether it is making sure that it is falling under that category or not. So with that, apart from this, you can use some prepared statement with parameterized query to make sure that user input is properly sanitized before being executed in the SQL query. Means you will already have some set of queries that is only being executed, that is allowed to execute on your SQL database. So only you will put or use the value, sanitize them, and put them into the query. Apart from that, no other queries can run on your SQL database. So you have given the structure of the query that only this thing can run and nothing else, no other query can run onto your database. That's it. So, you prepare a set of predefined query that can be run on your database. So this is going to be the few things that is there. Now there is going to be the your another one, insecure design. And now I think insecure design is something that is clear with its name itself, right? So when we talk about the your this is a newer entry in the your OWASP itself. So it is focused on that how you are developing your web application from the very beginning. So this is where we were talking about, one of the point which is mentioned in today's agenda was the secure coding or development lifecycle. So what happened is everyone heard about the SDLC, right? Software Development Lifecycle. So with the application, you have to do something like secure software development now cycle nowadays means because security is important. So from the beginning of the life cycle, you have to define that how it should be planned. So one thing is there is secure design and then there is the secure implementation. So let's say you can have a secure design, but for that someone can do the insecure your implementation means writing the code wrongly or anything. Okay, but if you have the insecure, it can't be the another way around means if there is insecure design, obviously someone can take advantage and use the flaws in your design to get the access. So if there is a secure design, there is a chance that someone might be you know messing everything up and not following the design and then causing some errors, but it can't be the other way around. That is one thing that we have to understand. So if you remember software development life cycle, like requirement gathering, designing, implementing, testing, every phase you will be going through and thinking about that how it can be protected. What could be threats in this particular region or at this particular stage? What threats could be over there, right? So what is happening when we are talking about the, what are the risk of any insecure design? So software developer, they usually have a responsibility to write a secure application. Okay, so if you will be not doing that, your users are on the risk. So application which is not developed with the security in mind, so they are going to put everything on the risk means like everything, the data that you have and everything will be at risk. And then you have to do these things like update and patch and fixes for these risks all the time, right? So it is going to do the damage in terms of leak data. And if data is leaking, your image is going to be battled over in the market. Okay, and then you have to be long hour of cleanup preventions, lot of things you have to do. So what is happening? Some examples would be if you are familiar with the content management system like WordPress. Okay, WordPress. So they usually some of their version they do not limit number of failed login on the any administrator portal. This means someone can do the your brute force attack in there. So try to avoid such kind of things when you are designing. Okay. Now, these kind of things are going to be in there. Now, many of the CMS platform, they have the default admin portal. Okay, like what is the default admin portal for your WP hyphen admin over there? So this is, you need to remove or have the different places over there, right? So these kind of things would be the insecure design over there itself. Now, what you have to do is you have to start adopting to the secure design culture. So there in the market, there's a terms like DevSecOps, development security operations. From the DevOps, we are moving towards the DevSecOps. So with each step, when you are designing your application, you will be doing or thinking about the security as well. Okay, so each phase of the development, think about the security, right? Use the things like the threat modeling. Like if you have heard something like the your stride model. Okay, so do something like that, do the threat modeling every time. Okay, so what could be these kind of things? Think about the potential attack vectors, that how someone can attack from where and all these kind of things. That is always going to help you out over there. Okay, this is going to be the some of the things that you can do for the secure your countermeasure to secure design, like using your secure design principles, which I was talking about, DevSecOps. Okay, principle of least privilege, fail safe, defense in depth, these basic things. Start doing the threat modeling, that each phase what could be the potential flaws, vulnerabilities, these kind of thing, and keep doing the security testing, pen testing, vulnerability scanning to identify if there is any flaws in your design, the developed code, and all these kind of things over there, right? Now, these things are going to be in there. Now, apart from this, next one in the your list is going to be the your security misconfiguration, right? Now, this is going to be the something that could be happening over there. Means you have used something like default configuration, unused page, okay, unnecessary services running. You are using vulnerable XML files. There are some unprotected files and directories that is there. Default configuration, like let's say that when they were developing this particular website, there's something is like, sign up page. So if you remember from the sniffing day, I was using the same website to sniff the data, right? And in there, I was using the username password like test. Okay. And I click on login and it worked. So this is something that you were doing for the testing, that default account left there. Okay. Admin, something like that. You do those kind of thing. There you have some unpatched flaws that is going to be in there. Okay, so this is something that is going to be your security misconfiguration you are doing. Okay, so these things are going to be the part of it which you will be seeing. So here, the security misconfiguration is onto this particular part itself over there, right? So this is something that you will be keep seeing of many of the times. Okay, now where these things can happen, it can happen on the web servers, your application servers, on your database, on your framework, in your custom code. If you are using, virtual machine for running there as well, in your network services. So you can do, a misconfiguration at n number of places. That is always a possibility over there, right? Now, what is happening? There are some application server which come with some sample application and they are not removed from the production server, right? Now, if these sample application, they will be having some security flaws. So later attacker can use it to go ahead and compromise the server as well. Okay. Now, just like, if one of the sample application was like that ping one that I was showing you. Now attacker can go there and, simply get the data like, what are the folders, the files and everything over there. That is going to be the one of the part that could be the, things that could be used over there. Okay. Now, this is something that you have to think about and, talk through as well, that what need to be done in here. Now, for this one, you will be using something like the automated configuration tools as well over there, right? So what you will be doing, you will be doing it, kind of hardening process. One thing that can help you is hardening, because as I was saying, it can happen anywhere, the web server or anything. So make sure no unnecessary ports are open, no unnecessary services are running. All these kind of things are the minimal, kept the features, component documentation, samples, keep these things to minimal. With that, some automated configuration tool, they can help to make sure that the software and the system are configured correctly and consistently. And these tools can also help identify misconfiguration and vulnerabilities, right? Then there is going to be the regular security assessment. So when we talk about the regular security assessment, it includes things like the vulnerability scanning, PT, what is the misconfiguration vulnerability in your system, and in the end, access control. Hence, you should be implying that only the necessary people, they have limited access to the system, not the any unnecessary access onto their system itself. Now, something which was very low on the list earlier, that was the vulnerable and outdated your component, right? So this is now, and now it is having the bit higher up in the rank from the 9 to 6. So what is happening over here is, simply this means you are using something like third party, tools. Like you want to write a blog, Okay, so there is, if you'll be just designing everything by yourself, so this will be very tough. So you start using a lot of plugins, extension, third-party code, right? And if you are not a master of, just getting this and patching them together, how the front end and back end should work, so these things could be leading to some greater vulnerabilities as well over there, right? So this is something that is, a part of this, or, people use it. So they are not aware. So they start using CMS for publishing like WordPress, PHPDB, Drupal, these kind of thing. So they are using outdated version of it, or what there is, they are not aware. They're simply doing such kind of a thing. Okay. Now, thing is like, what are the possibilities over there? Like webmaster or developers, they cannot keep up with the pace of update, right? So, these things, they keep pushing some update properly. And the people who are not aware, so they are just writing the blog, they are not aware that how the web application and all these things, so they work properly. So what will happen? There will be some vulnerabilities over the time if they do not properly do those kind of things, right? Now we know why they are worried, because they know that they are not expert on those CMS and all. They are worried that if they will be changing or updating anything, any dependency it change, that means it can be simply your work in your what we can say, against you, right? It can be working against you itself. That is going to be the one part. Okay, so these kind of things could be there. And even like I have seen personally as well, the people, they are using some known vulnerability. Like there was a website like 6 years ago, they were using a particular framework, third-party software development kit, to develop their website, and they were selling some certification. And there was that, broken access control happening. So the cart value, I was changing from the URL to 0, and it was giving things for free, right? So you need to do what you need to be aware about, that the the outdated component or CMS that you are using, they are going to give you any benefit or not. So for this one, what you can do, again, you can run some vulnerability scanning, right? You can perform patch management. If there is any updated, any patch, what is the latest security patch, at least install them. Dependency management, right? So dependency between components should be identified and managed to make sure that components are up to date and secure. And this is what I was talking about. People, they fear that if they will update something, it will break, right? Obviously it will break if you are not aware about that, how backend is depending on the front end links, how they are working. If you are not aware, you will worry. So you should be identifying the dependencies over there, and always try to use the secure component, official images, official, development tools, and all these things should be used on the particular spaces itself, right? So this is the your A6. Then there is A7. Again, something that you might have seen, right? This is the identification and authentication failure that is going to be in there, right? So your authentication mechanism is not that much strong. Okay. Now in login pages, what you are having, first thing is there could be authentication failure risk. Okay. So what is happening? Some of the pages are, like we were talking about, some of the pages are, CMS has the very common admin login portals, right? People use them. They reach to the on the WordPress like WP admin, on Joomla slash administrator, and in your Drupal slash user slash login, and they will be reaching to the login page. Now there they can try to identify that, you know is there any broken authentication vulnerability. So it is allowing any attacker to either manually or automatically try to gain control of any account that they want in the system, right? Or even worse, the admin account, and get the access of whole system together over there. Means broken authentication, it is usually referring to the logic issue that happen on the your application's authentication mechanism, right? Like bad session management, or common username, or malicious actor doing the brute forcing, and it is not getting any error over there. So it is permitting the different attacks like credential stuffing, right? And brute forcing, or permitting default, weak or well-known passwords over there, using the plain text or encrypted or even hashed password as well, right? Or even, you know, missing or ineffective multi-factor authentication over there, or your session IDs are exposed totally, right? So that kind of thing could be the whole, the examples of this. Like in this Altero Mutual, if I will show you the sign-in page, okay, in the username, I will again do that SQL injection kind of a thing. Put a single quote, then say, or I can write something like this. Either your username is admin single quote, okay, or 1 equals to 1, and then hyphen hyphen space hyphen. So I can use this thing and same as the password as well, username, and I am trying to make this query always true, right? And it just make me log in. So what I did, I was just saying in that query whether your username is either, in this one, what I was saying, I was trying to say that when I was entering the username, I'm saying either your username is admin or 1 equals to 1. That's it. Means either your username is admin. If it is not, then is it 1 equals to 1, and which is a true, right? So what is happening? It is making it a true condition. So it is always true, right? This whole thing is going to be true, right? So we are kind of, and again, there was a flaw in your authentication mechanism, which allowed you to go ahead and do something like this. Okay. So this is one thing that you have to go there and test it out for you like itself, that whether it is properly working or not. Okay, so there again, what you can have as the countermeasure, apply some strong password policies. That password should be strong. Multi-factor authentication should always be enabled all the time. And then you can deploy some identity management solution. Okay, they will help you users, help to manage user identity and their accesses to the resource. And it include things like the access control, which will help you in other vulnerabilities as well, to know how to manage user, monitor user, all these kind of things. That is over there. Right now, when we talk about new other one, okay, here. Now there is going to be the A8, which is the newest addition over there, which is the software and data integrity failure. Now, in this one, this is a new addition over there. So when we talk about these kind of a thing, that you are having the data software and data integrity failure. So things like you are using some third-party plugins where you do not control the sources over there. So plugins and extension for making your web application beautiful, right? You use them and they are from untrusted source, right? Now there could be things like your users of code, like you downloaded some third-party code. Now in that one you follow or you forgot to verify the source, right? That whether it is authentic source or not. So this will be again causing into the software and the data integrity features that is there. Now focusing, and why it is there? It is focused on the software update, critical data, CI/CD pipeline, which is usually work with the DevOps, right? Because what you have to do, you have in with the modern scenario with CI/CD, we are pushing lot of updates very frequently. So you need to be, multiple time you'll be picking up the code from the third party and all those kind of places. So it could be, leading to, if you are in hurry, you pick up some code, source code, you pushed it, you forgot to verify that whether it is an authentic user or not. And that was a malicious code. What it will do? It will be a kind of the dangerous for everything that is out there. Okay. Like in the SolarWind hack, what they did, the hacker, they distributed the backdoor software to thousands of organizations, including US government and hundreds of major of corporation over there, right? Now, this could be things that could be there. Now, in 2016, the one of the very well, the website of popular Linux distribution, Linux Mint, it was hacked and ISO was replaced by the backdoor version of the ISO, right? So when you are installing or that ISO, you didn't check the integrity of the your particular ISO file from where you have downloaded this, right? So this is going to be the, some of the things that is going to be working over there. Now, how to prevent this? One of the things that is going to be in there is the, code signing, right? So usually you will be, using a software that is digitally signed. Okay, that is going to be digitally signed by a trusted vendor. That is going to be code signing. Even your operating system, if you are aware, is digitally signed by the vendor and it is verified every time you are booting up. It's been verified that no one has tampered with my OS or not, right? So not only OS, any kind of code, vendors, when they will be giving it to their clients, they will be kind of marking it or signing it. So make sure that you are using that. Now, protect your sensitive data and information. You need to go ahead and encrypt them in that particular scenario. And with that, you should be applying version control, right? So what you will be having, you'll be keeping the track of the changes over there. You will be having a repository where you will be having each version 1.1 verified and signed, 1.2 its code, 1.3 it has the multiple benefits. One, if you have to check that any code was maliciously changed or anything, you can compare it with your repository. Second, if I launch 1.4, it was having some vulnerability, I can revert back to the last edition itself. Okay, that is going to be the few cases over here. Now again, there is going to be the another one which is from the 10 it moved to the bit up. So that is insufficient logging and monitoring. Means who is accessing your system, who is sending what kind of command. Someone is doing is scanning, sending SQL injection, and you have no way of logging those events. That is going to be the one of the thing, right? Challenge. There is no alert for someone is doing a SQL injection. There is no alert for that. That is going to be something that will be the security logging and monitoring failures, right? So, what is happening is you need to monitor your server. So you can apply at least, sorry, freely available tools of ideas like OSSEC, which will monitor all your system activity, file integrity monitoring, log monitoring, root check, process monitoring, all these kind of things over there, right? So you should be able to go ahead and analyze who is connecting, where they're connecting. If there anyone is doing anything suspicious, for that there should be an alert that should be generated instantly over there. Okay, so again, what you have to do, you will be using something like these centralized monitoring systems over there. Okay, centralized logging and monitoring. They collect the log from the web server, IS server, Nginx, from your code as well. You will be, using over there. So the tool which I was talking about, like, at least implies something like OSSEC ideas, right? Like this thing, at least minimum freely available. Okay, apply these kind of a thing and collect all the log from different web server application system on a centralized location. Then use something like a proper log management, analyze them, normalize them. You should have policy for how long you are going to keep the logs, where you are keep the logs, everything. Then use the tools. You can use SIM tools, security information and event management tools, to get yourself alert. If anything suspicious in logs you will find, you can use the SIM tool to get yourself alert over there, right? And now the very last one is going to be the new addition here, which is server side request forgery over here. Now what it is happening, this SSRF kind of a flaw, it happened. What is happening? Your web application, what it is having, if you have seen very simple example, for booking movies, there are n number of apps, right? But in the end, what we are doing, like from IMAX, I want to book the ticket and from the same theater, but I am having multiple third-party website, which is making that booking for me. So this SSRF flaw, it happen when any web application is fetching a remote resource without validating a user supplied URL. So what happened that IMAX website, what happened because multiple of the third party is sending you the request, right? And you forgot to validate a user supplied URL that what they want to do, right? And in that particular scenario, so someone attacker send an API call and want to access any file detail from you or anything, and you give them as the output, right? That is going to be the SSRF flaw. So when you are allowing someone without validating the user supplied URL, so it will allow an attacker to get that force that application to send a crafted request to any unexpected destination, even when they are protected by firewall, VPN, or any other kind of the network access control list. So attacker like IMAX was being accessed by a third party app, let's say Book My Show, right? So Book My Show was having a flaw. Now through the Book My Flow, what I did, I sent a query to the IMAX that tell me about this, that your database, and they didn't verify it. And even though they have all the security, they will be able to get the access over there. So this kind of thing will be called server side request forgery. Okay. And it will happen things like what they can do the things like port scan of the internal servers. They will send you a query which will be doing the port scan and result will be out. They can ask some sensitive data over to you. Okay, these kind of things will be there. Now for overcome such kind of the challenges, few things is, first thing is very common, input validation means sanitize users input. Do not trust your user. So any request that is coming, you can use the same thing. It means any unauthorized username or marks or your special character should be banned, right? So make sure that user's query is not containing any malicious content, okay, over here, which is and you would be you'll be using whitelist, means what value should be allowed, right? Rather than filtering out any suspicious characters or the input over here. Then access control, if my third party is sending a request, what they can access and what they cannot. This thing should be over there. Okay. Then use the whitelisting. So whitelisting can be used to restrict type of URL that can be accessed by the server. Okay. So which I was talking about, that if third party is sending, which URL can be accessed. It will be including allowing only approved URL and blocking the all others. So only if you want to book movie, so you can access the seat information. That's it, right? Nothing else. So that will be the SSRF that is going to be in there, right? So these were my top 10, and yes, this consumed the kind of our whole day in here. And in the very last, I will again want to check and successfully, if you see, ah, I got that column names, not 8, but at least 7. So let's end this with this demo itself. So very good thing that I got the access till this point over here. Now what I want to do is in this one, we will go ahead and, you know, uh, in this one, I will be going ahead and, remember we were trying to find the columns. So I find the columns. So -C, and which columns you want to use. Like there is the name column. There is your with the name uname column. Okay, uname is not there. Okay, it didn't find the uname. No, uname is there and pass is also there. 3 column I want to use, and if there is any matching hash or anything is there, so I want to dump these 3 columns detail over there. Okay, so it will be running this whole, kind of the getting that what is the data inside it. So they are retrieving the data that which are the users and everything over there. So yes, mine is a bit old, so they are going to get a bit of a time over here. So yes, it will be running that which team, which name, which columns, which entries are there. So it will taking the time, like it is retrieving one name like John Smith. Now this was everyone, this was our offensive security journey over there.